Manchester United have handed Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a new 3-year contract to remain as the Manchester United head coach and manager. On top of that, they have promised up to 4 major signings this summer. I want your instant reaction to this news. Of course, there's been a delay in the announcement due to the embarrassing defeat of Villarreal. United are now looking for the perfect PR moment to announce the renewal of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's contract. Hit that like button, hit that share button, come and have your say. Here we go. Welcome back to the Terrace. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and his Manchester United season ended in bitter and embarrassing disappointment. There is no shying away from that in any way, shape or form. It was announced around the 14th of March that Manchester United would be offering Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a new deal. It was perceived at that point that Champions League qualification was pretty much done and dusted. As we know, the Glazers typically only care about the money that comes into the football club. Champions League qualification 2 years running is seen as pretty much the ultimate achievement. It is the standard. It is the benchmark that has been put in front of all managers since the retirement of Sir Alex Ferguson. It, in fact, is the only thing or failure to qualify for that gets a manager dismissed. Manchester United offered Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a new 3-year extension that takes his contract until the summer of 2024. There is also an increase in pay of circular £4 million per year for Ole. Coupled in with that was a promise to make him 4 major signings this summer. The shortlist has a variety of talent on it, from Jadon Sancho, Harry Kane, Grealish, Max Aarons, Declan Rice, Rafael Varane, Pau Torres, Jules Koundé, and a number of other high-profile players. The club is making all the signs and making all the noises that it wants to progress forward, that we're ready for a title push. But who is buying that? Who is buying the players that Manchester United are being linked to? The fact that they have delayed the announcement of this new deal and are waiting for the signing of a Jadon Sancho-esque player so they can slip this news in almost behind the scenes. There'll be a big announcement. There'll be photograph opportunities and statements being released. But there's almost this element now that the club wants to put out some massively popular and big news before announcing this. That should tell you everything you need to know. They are not listening to what the fans want. They're not listening to what professionals think. They are not seeing the beyond the end of their nose in relation to this deal. I'm a massive fan of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. The man, I think, is a wonderful person. I think in terms of the way he comes across and behaves, I don't know him personally. I don't know what he does in his private life, but he seems a good person. He's a legendary player of Manchester United Football Club, and he's a good manager. He has done some excellent things behind the scenes at the football club. But rewarding any manager with a brand new deal, where they've failed to win a trophy in their 2.5 to 3 years at the football club, where they've fallen at the final hurdle or at the semi-final hurdle on every single occasion, I think is premature. I think it sends out the wrong message. I think it's borderline to completely, it's in that realm of celebrating and rewarding mediocrity at the football club. But I want your views. I want your opinions on this today. We're going to open up the lines very, very soon for you to come on and have your say with us today. Please make sure you're hitting that like button and that share button, and also turning on the bell notification button as well. It's very, very important to us that you do that. We will be previewing, or sort of building up to, later from 5 o'clock today, to the massive Champions League final tonight, City versus Chelsea. Got some interesting content to go through, a really brilliant Manchester City fan quiz, which is amazing, and Chelsea as well. We've got both of them to come later on the show, so really excited about bringing them to you. Nice bit of fun, big build up later on today. Want to see how the City and the Chelsea fans are feeling ahead of this mammoth tie, so we'll be covering that for later on in the day. Going to go to some of your comments here. James says he scored tap-ins in the Champions League final. Now he's the Norwegian Origi. I mean, look, the one thing I will say is this: disrespect Ole all you want. However, However, it's a case of like, from my point of view, don't disrespect the player that he was. He has one of the best goal per minute ratios in Premier League history. He helped win multiple titles, the European Cup, domestic cups. Let's put a bit of respect on him as a player, I would say there, James. That's one thing I won't sit there and start to do. Tom Heaton is the star of the United Galactico era. I like that. It's a good little bit of banter this morning. Timothy, long time no see, says I'm absolutely bricking it. I bet you are tonight, and we'll touch on that a little bit more later on today. Shirim Iqbal here says, if it looks like ball, smells like ball, then it must be ball. And do you know what I hear about this, mate? When it comes to the signings, I was looking at it to work out how affordable it is. So I looked at the 4 most expensive and likely signings, or some that are most likely and some that we're being priced out. So I looked at Sancho, Kane, Varane, Rice. I looked at those 4. Circa 320 million pounds it would cost. There's supposedly a budget of 150. Let's not get too drawn into these 150 budgets, because these 150 budgets, to a degree, are a bit of a nonsense. That may be how much we can afford to put down year 1 on players. That's more likely. Remember, the majority of transfers are paid over the course of length of time of that contract. So let's just say these all those deals cost on paper 320. Actually, we'll round it up to 340 million. Let's just say we pay over the odds. You divide that by what is going to be an average of 5 years on the contracts. It's 68 million pounds per year. United are looking to spend between 100 to 150 million of down payments on that already. So on a yearly basis, it reduces slightly. But that is affordable to Manchester United. But it's about getting the job done. And for me, if they give Ollie a new deal and sign him these players, that for me will offset the disappointment of rewarding Ollie with a new contract. Because what it tells me is, there's going to be better quality within the squad. If we give Ollie a new deal, sign Sancho, and everybody else we bring into the club is low level and mediocre, then panic is really going to set in. If Ollie truly is this manager that relies upon individual brilliance, then you have to give him the best players possible in market. Because at the end of the day, whether you want Ollie in or not, you've got to want Manchester United to succeed and to win in your heart of hearts. Whether you think they will or not is a completely different argument. But I hear what you're saying there. There's something about what they're putting out right now, Manchester United, that stinks. They're delaying the announcement of Ollie's new deal. They're pushing out this notion that we're going to go and sign all these players. How many will we actually bring in of any merit and of any quality? We just don't know. Let's keep these comments coming in, my wonderful viewers. Thank you very much here, Cody, for signing up and becoming an official member of the Football Terrace. Remember, if you're a squad member or above, Cody signed up to be a first team member. One of the perks is getting followed back on all social media platforms. Make sure you send us a DM so we know who you all are. It's impossible for me to know. Some of your usernames are not the same as your Twitter handles. So make sure you DM us and let us know who you are. Tell us what your YouTube name is, and we'll get following back on that. And many, many more perks along the way. Brand new London studios being set up as we speak. And there might be a return of a very famous member of the Football Terrace, who we very rarely saw on camera, but his name was mentioned in every stream. Just keep your eyes peeled for that one. Very, very excited about next season. I really am. David Gardner here says, selling and releasing Jones, Mathematics, James, Fred, De Gea, Pereira, Lingard, Dalot, and potentially Martial can easily generate 100. I mean, I would say you're generating more than 70 mil for all those players. I think what's really interesting for me, I'm moving more and more towards the belief that genuinely a Martial or Pogba with a David De Gea could be leaving. I think there could end up being 2 or 3 big sales this summer. And the only way I advocate that is if we bring into the club big signings. So if Martial was to leave but Kane came in, if Mata left and James left but Sancho came in, if De Gea left and Oblak came in, I'm just using his name as an example, and if we got rid of sort of Jones and Varane or Koundé came in, I'm kind of comfortable. If Pogba leaves and we sign a really good central midfield player, I'm happy to a degree. Like we're bringing in quality for quality. You're never going to match Paul Pogba's footballing ability, so it's pointless having that debate. But there needs to be almost a like for like here. Dinesh here, another one of our wonderful members, says, morning, Terry. Your owners are doing a big mistake. I remember FSG got Kenny after asking Roy Hodgson to unite the fans and then sack him. When Klopp was available, they sacked Brendan Rodgers. Well, this is the point, and this is, I think you're right on that. The side point before I start opening up the lines and going to your phone calls this morning, because we always want to hear what you've got to say, the viewers and the football fans out there. My view on this new deal is very, very simple. Right now, there are some higher level managers available in the market. More accomplished, more rounded managers with better coaching. To not strike now seems like a massive, massive mistake. And you know what? You know what's crazy about this being disappointed? What I hope is, and I pray, is that it all goes swimmingly well. Just can't fit. Just doesn't feel right to me. Something about it. Shane here said you're doomed, and I absolutely agree with you completely on that one, my friend. Absolutely, couldn't agree with you more. Mohammed said a new contract is a big mistake. ENT says, Javern, can you capture that? So you always know when you've got an OG in the house when they remember those things there. Terry spitting facts. Listen, I always spit fact, and I don't. I spit opinion, and it's whether you agree with it or not. But from my point of view, you know what's really kind of bittersweet about all of this is I hope everything I'm saying is wrong. I completely hope that nothing I'm saying, Simon, is a fact. I completely hope that Ollie transforms next year and goes to another level. I hope that we land all these signings and they're a major success. I hope that everybody that leaves has a good career, but Man United reap the benefits and become better as a team. I don't want to be right about any of this. I don't want the delay of Ollie's new deal to be because of PR and finding the right time to announce it. Because if it was the right decision, that forget what fans think for a second. If they truly believed in this and they knew it was the right thing for the club, they just announce it. They don't need to worry about PR because they know what they're doing is right. It's crazy. Sharek here says, Pogba new deal, no DM. Sancho, Varane, and a right back will come in. My gut is telling me so. Do you know what? If we don't get a new DM, but you did land a top centre-back, Sancho, good cover at right back, it's not a bad summer. It isn't the best. But then you got maybe the following year you bring that DM in. Who knows? As long as we're filling some of the holes in, there'll be a part of me that's relatively happy, I suppose. We're going to open up the lines now for you all to come on and for you to have your say. I'm going to share the link now on the Discord server, and we're going to put it into where we're going to put it today. We're going to put it in the Man United chat right now. So I'm spamming it in there now. So get yourselves across to Discord now. Get the link. Come on and have your say. We want to hear from you. We have Donny, Terry. Do we? Will Donny even be here come the end of the transfer window? Who knows? So Donny isn't a player that I'm thinking about as an active Man United player, not because I don't think he's talented, but because he's not been part of Ollie's plans too much this year. So I can't sit there and just think, it's okay, we've got Donny, he'll play more. Because the manager doesn't... The geezer didn't come on in 120 minutes in a European Cup final that we needed to win. He didn't come onto the football pitch. So I just have no faith that Ollie's going to play him next year. I don't want to get too into the kind of debate about why and what and why Ollie doesn't fancy him, because I'm tired of that. But have I got faith he's going to play next year? Not in a month of Sundays. Remember, we're talking about Ollie's new deal. We're talking about these 4 major signings that Manchester United are meant to have. That's what we want your views and opinions on today. The link's been shared for you to call in. There's a super chat here that says, as a City fan, you made me happy with Ollie news. May he stay forever. He's the right one, Terry. Have faith. Please don't sack him. He's your Frank Lampard pillow. #trust. Cheers, mate. Thanks for that. It's just what I need to hear right now. 150 million, the Glazers been lying. Well, look, we spent 150 million before. It's doable. What would be a real turn-up is what we've never seen under the Glazers, and I'm not defending them here. I'm skeptical like you. What we've seen under the Glazers on a number of occasions is when we qualify for the Champions League, less money is spent. But what happens when you're doing it 2 years running? They need to spend. They need, whether you love Ollie, hate Ollie, or whatnot, this club needs better players. You know, it needs better players because Chelsea are going to improve their squad. Liverpool already have. City, win, lose, or draw tonight. they're going to improve their squad. It's as simple and it's as straightforward as that. We're going to start going to your calls. KJ is going to be on very, very soon with us. First up, Aaron is here, fresh from his walk in the park with his lady friend. How you doing, mate?
I'm not too bad, mate. I'm going off to a game in a couple of hours. We've got a Legends match at the Keepmoat Stadium. It's my first time at the stadium in a year and a half, so I can't wait to be back in the stands today. Really can't wait to see Clinton Morrison play and see all the Legends play for charity. It's raising money for a good cause, so looking forward to it today.
Oh, nice. What's your take on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's new deal? 3 years, £4 million pay rise. What's your thoughts?
I'm kind of like a sci-fi movie. You split my brain in two halves. I've got one half telling me if Ollie gets some kind of unlawful backing from the people that I don't think they're going to back, he could do something with the squad. But my other half is telling me the Glazers aren't going to do anything, and Ollie's going to pay the price for it. I think the timing's wrong. I think that, you've just lost the Europa League final to Villarreal. It's their first major trophy. No disrespect to Villarreal. But United have literally bottled a final and they're about to announce a 3-year deal. In my opinion, wrong timing, first of all. I feel sorry for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I felt sorry for him throughout his managerial reign at United. And the reason why I felt sorry for him rather than be angry at Ole is because he's doing this job with both arms tied behind his back. And I've said this on multiple streams. I said this on my watch along of the Europa League final. I said he's doing this job 2 arms tied behind his back. In terms of what this means for the summer, I think Sancho's pretty much a done deal. I think that's pretty much done anyway. But I just don't feel like the Glazers are going to back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I think that's going to hinder his managerial development. Because I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can be a great manager. I think he can be. But I think he's doing this job with a bad ownership. I think if you went to a different club under a great ownership and a great setup, he could do something with that team. Maybe not to the likes of Man City and Chelsea and stuff like that, but maybe he could do something to what the club might not be expected to do. So maybe like get a mid-table team to Europe or something like that. So I feel like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer needs some time to develop. I think it's like Arteta at Arsenal. It's kind of like learning on the job. But I do want to bring up something, Terry, and I brought this up on a couple of streams now. And I know we don't like talking about rivals when we talk about United. Look at Arsenal under Kroenke. They were winning titles under Wenger. Then the expectations dropped to top 4. Then Wenger left. Then Emery came in. Then it dropped to top 6. Then it was out of Europe entirely. This is my point about the Glazers. If they keep doing what they're doing and terrorising Manchester United, look at what Man United, since Alex Ferguson's retired, it's gone from title ambitions to top 4 ambitions. If you're not careful, it's going to go to top 6 and then it's going to be out of Europe entirely. And I feel like that's the pattern with the Glazers. If they don't start being a proper owner, it's going to go the same way as Arsenal. And people will say in the comments, it's wrong, but I see a pattern.
Bro, but we know this. But I think giving Ollie a new deal is also part of that. The reason they're rewarding him, and this is the thing, Andre Pirlo won a cup, and he got Champions League football. They sacked him. They sacked him because they're not where they want to be. I keep seeing people getting angry with Ollie that the club hasn't sacked him like Bayern would, or like Juve would, or like City or Chelsea would. And that's why the focus for me with this new deal, I've got no animosity towards Ollie for it. Ollie's been offered a new deal. He's going to accept it. I'm looking at these owners and just screaming from the rooftops. This is where they're happy to be. This is just where they're happy to be.
This is where some of the fans come in. This is where some of the fans come into play, because they've got they have an agenda. The Ollie out people want to be proved right, and they'll be willing to accept losses to be proved right. And that's where I feel like they're not Man United fans. Like, you look at people that have certain agendas on certain players, like at halftime during the Europa League final, I see Bruno Fernandes trending. I see David De Gea trending. And I'm like, well, in my opinion, Lindelof, Rashford, they were the poor performers compared to De Gea and Bruno. Bruno was missing, but I feel like he wasn't the worst performer. But people that have certain agendas on certain players, the Bruno FC, the De Gea FC, they want to be proved right. And I feel like the Glazers are taking advantage of the division of the fan base to prove why they are bad owners. That, like, they'll know If they
Yeah.
put out a few good signings, the Man United fans that have got an agenda will fall into that trap, and they're going to make them more money.
Listen, I think great points being made there. Listen, mate, enjoy your game today. Really appreciate that, buddy. And we'll speak to you again soon. Top man. Thank you. Still got KJ to come. Francis is backstage. We've got Tommy, but we're going to go to Sunshine today to give us his views on Ollie's pending new deal. How you doing, mate?
Hey, what's good, King? You good?
I'm not at this news. I had a conversation with someone about this yesterday, and they basically said to me, the deal has been agreed for all intents and purposes. United are just waiting for the perfect time to announce it, which I do understand from a PR point of view. But I have to say, I'm just disappointed. I'm really disappointed.
I think I agree with that. I think one thing we have to understand is that it's one thing I've definitely picked up on is that the Glazers don't think like fans. So you have to understand, there has to be a level of understanding from the Glazers' perspective. I'm not saying you have to agree with it. I'm not saying you have to accept it. I certainly don't. But look, just step back and look at the whole thing. For the Glazers, they are happy with top four. They've made their money. So they are rewarding Ollie for that. From a fan's perspective, because we know the fans divided over the Glazers and their ownership. So clearly we see what the Glazers see, but we don't agree with what the Glazers see. We don't want to, that shouldn't be the reason why he gets a contract. So most fans are vexed, and rightly so, at the news, because clearly, the Glazers have gone and given him a contract because they didn't care whether we won the trophy or not. That's one take on look at. They don't really care if we win that trophy unless it brings them a little bit more money. They're happy with top four because they have made their goal happen. Their manager and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer managed to get them top four, which gets them money. So that's what they are giving them this contract for, nothing else. Now, maybe Ollie during these discussions, I don't know Ollie, I'm not that tied down, but I'm just trying to have some intelligent guesses, is to say that, with these four major signings, is that a front to Ollie, or is it a case of, in order to get these fans off our back because we've been protesting, we may just need to bring two of the four main signings in and just say, we struggled to get the other two, blah, blah, blah. Here you go. There's Hulk from the Chinese league. Like, you know what I mean? Like it could go that way. So regarding his contract, the positives I can see from a fan's perspective, and I don't feel like this. I'm trying to look at it. I'm trying to cover all angles from all perspectives. I don't personally think it's the right decision. But looking at Ollie, I think the small improvements that he needs to make are very simple. His in-game management, his team selections, his lack of use of better or more desirable players in certain games to get us over the line, rather than hold for a draw or hold on to a lead, and also his coaching staff. Now, I think mainly his coaching staff, if he was ruthless enough to go, you know what, you guys were messing up with the zonal marking, I've got no style of play, pattern of play, then I'd be like, you know what, Ollie, you may have a chance, especially if you like individuals and you're getting these good individuals in. He may have a chance then to kind of win something back. The reality for me, and this is opinion only, is that I don't think he has the minerals to go and get rid of 3 or 4 staff he's just brought in. And this is where I say, if he can't get rid of his coaching staff, my reason is that I want Ollie to go because it's the only way we're going to change the style of football. If he wants to play with individuals, cool. That's fine. Do what you're doing. Getting individuals in of a Kane, a Sancho, Rice, whatever names they've been tutored with, that's obviously going to improve us because Ollie likes those better players to be more open, to be more free. However, is that sustainable when things go wrong? Sorry, my cat's just jumped off my lap. Is that sustainable in the future? I don't really think it is, because when your individuals don't show up, the individuals get slandered left, right, and centre. The individuals that are doing incredible, so let's say Bruno, Pogba, when they don't turn up, because we don't have that style of football, or because we can't do a Man City and bring a Gunnar off the bench or a Foden off the bench and still play the style of football. It's like we've been led to believe that we have to rely on these individuals more than we really should. And I genuinely feel if we got a Sancho, if we got more creative, if Martial, in my opinion, played on the left in that creative position, or even a Pogba and a Donny van de Beek next to a new DM, I feel like Bruno's assists may be less, his goals may be less, but I feel like it'd be more evenly spread across the pitch, and I feel we'd be a lot stronger on either side. And just to back that point before I leave you, bro, I just think that when we saw Donny van de Beek and Ahmad play, a lot of our attack was on that right-hand side, and Matic was involved with that. And I haven't seen that for a long time on that right-hand side. So I think there's potential there. I've managed to calm down after the result, but I just think there's certain changes that are simple, but I just don't think Ollie is going to make them, and that's the reason I don't think this signing new contract is good.
Yeah, listen, I agree with so much of what you've said there. I really do, and like we've had these debates on the show before. We know that all systems rely on individual brilliance, but you need a system that will get the best out of everybody, and even highlight and sort of covers up people's flaws and things at the right time. There just isn't the subtlety to our play,
correct,
to be able to do that. And you're right, new coaching. If Ollie stays, then new coaching staff are needed. But I think if that all remains the same, we're still going to be where we are now in a few years' time, maybe with a few extra points, a few extra wins, and everything else because the quality of players. But bro, listen, I appreciate you coming on and having your say. I think it's actually frozen there with yourself on, but thank you for coming on, mate, and having your say. Really appreciate that, buddy. Thank you. KJ still to come. Francis is coming up very soon as well. Francis is up soon, but first, Eye Test is here. Eye Test, new contract for Ollie. Give me your thoughts.
Yes, so personally, I believe I disagree with this decision because personally, I believe that he doesn't deserve another year. I don't think he's good enough. But let's say, for argument's sake, he deserves another year. Let's say they believe he deserves another year, and they believe he's done enough to have another year, which I don't believe. But for argument's sake, let's say he does deserve another year. Yeah, let him have that other year. Let him have that extra year. Yes, he's in his last year of his contract, but let's be real. No other club is in for him. It's not like he's a big boy manager like Pep or Jose that we have to secure him and not let him go into his last year of his contract because maybe other clubs will be in for him. I don't believe any big club will be in for him. So let him go into his last year of his contract, and see how he does in his last year. If he does good, give him another contract. If he does bad, you could let him go without sacking him and having to pay him off because he's on a contract. So I disagree with this decision. But I want to ask you something. I want to know what your thoughts are on something else with Ollie. Yeah, it's not to do with the contract. It's to do with the cultural rebuild. The cultural rebuild, something that a lot of Ollie inners have praised Ollie for improving the mood, the harmony in the dressing room, improving the culture in the dressing room. But you see, for me, I was thinking about this. Is this really a good thing? I was thinking about this. I think this is actually a bad thing. This is actually a bad thing because I believe this shows. Because there's not a lot of arguments. It's not toxic. It shows that Ollie's not demanding. And hear me out. You see, with Jose Mourinho, he fell out with a lot of players like Anthony Martial, Luke Shaw, Paul Pogba, because he was demanding. He demanded the best, and that's why he fell out with a lot of players. Pep has fell out with a lot of players during his managerial career. Klopp, Conte, because they're demanding. And when you're a demanding manager, when you demand the best, you fall out with people.
Yeah,
you
so I think there's two things there I test, and I do feel you're conflating two separate things. I agree with you that the standards of the football club have to be higher. Forget the football club. Standards of the manager have to be high. The demand has to be high. The pressure to win and succeed has to be high. But the manager can only set the same expectations that the club sets. Because if the club are rewarding managers for just coming in the top 4 and not winning trophies, it's impossible for the manager to set higher standards for the players, because they'll say, well, what about you? Imagine that at work. Imagine you had to work to a higher standard than your boss, or to what the target. Imagine your boss will set a target and you've all got to do 10 widgets a week, but your manager's telling you you've got to do 20, otherwise you can be sacked. It doesn't create an environment to thrive in. It creates an environment that you just said a moment ago, which is toxic. Now, the problem is, can you give me an example of a toxic dressing room where they're successful over a long period of time?
Well,
so I think there's two things. I think you're on the right thread, that there needs to be higher standards, but the higher standards need to be set by the owners, into the manager, into the players. So I agree with you that the standards are not high enough. Do I think that we need everybody at each other's necks every day and it being toxic? No. There was an argument on the pitch a few weeks ago, if you remember, where I think it was Maguire and Rashford having a pop at each other. The players do argue, the players do fight, the players do clash. We've seen that. But there's a big difference between having high standards and demands and it being toxic. And I would never want it to be toxic, because that's going to fail anyway. So I think you're on the right thread, I test, but the use of the word toxic, I think, is wrong.
I believe a toxic dressing room isn't a bad thing. Jose Mourinho.
Can you show me some examples of a toxic dressing room where they won?
Okay, Jose Mourinho at Man United. At Man United, he won stuff at Man United.
It became toxic. It became
Europa League.
No, it wasn't toxic. Hang on. It wasn't toxic when that was going on. It didn't start becoming toxic and the relationships breaking down until in and around the Sevilla game, which I believe was March 2018 time. That's when it started to fall apart. So that was after all the trophies are won. So try again. Give me an example of, forget Europa Leagues and League Cups. You keep coming on there and say the standard is Champions League, Premier Leagues. Give me an example of a club where it's been toxic, where they've won Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues.
Okay, listen, maybe toxic is the wrong word, but
and that's what I'm putting out. I think you're right on the demand. You're absolutely right on the demand. There needs to be high standards. But to my point, when the club rewards just finishing in the top 4 of a new deal, that's the root cause of the problem, isn't it? That's the standard. It's been set by the club.
100%. But that goes back to what I was saying a couple weeks ago. We recently just seen Conte leave Inter Milan. Because the demands aren't there. Apparently they want to sell a couple players for financial reasons, and because of that, Conte left. Remember what I was saying a couple weeks ago? I said Oli should walk out. Oli should walk out.
And I get your point on that. We don't need to go over it again. I get your point on that. The point, what I will say is this, though. How does it help the club? Because Conte is going to walk away. Is that going to make Inter Milan better or worse, in your opinion?
It's going to make them worse. However, you see, if he walks away and he exposes the club, you see, I don't think Conte.
That's where that's where you've got you. Oli walking away will create a yay moment. It will give us the new baby in the bad marriage scenario again. Is it going to fix the club? The fans shouldn't need Oli to martyr himself for them to focus on the owners. The reason that you want Oli to martyr himself is you are happy if you're honest with yourself, you're just happy for Oli to be gone. I don't think you care enough behind the root cause problems, because Oli walking away solves nothing. Even us hiring the best manager in the world, the only way that works is if we change the way we operate. How do we know that? Based on your own.
Saying just walk away.
One second. Yeah, I know, but that's why it's folly. That's why it's folly. Because if you got Conte at our club, with the way we operate, he'd walk away. Poch is walking away from PSG because it doesn't operate correctly. Brendan Rodgers, that you wanted at Man United, has said no to Tottenham because he's not happy with how they run as a football club. So why are any of these top managers going to come here? Until we focus on the root cause problem, getting rid of Ollie's great, but we're still going to end up in the same situation again. Great call as ever, though, ITES. Great points being made there. Really appreciate you phoning in and having your say. We have a super chat from Danny, who says, if Ollie wasn't going to get sacked, then it's probably better to give him a new contract. A manager is going into the season in the last year of their contract, is never good for the squad, as they will still back him. I don't know what happened to my comments there. I hear you on that. Richard here says should have backed Jose, sold Tony and Pogba, and bought a centre back. Hindsight is a very lucrative commodity, they say. It's a very, very lucrative commodity. And as I said, listen, eye test is absolutely right in what he's saying in relation to the standards of the club need to be higher. But as my point, I reiterate again, I don't think Ollie's a good enough manager. I want a better manager. But this belief that fixes the football club is a madness. I wouldn't overly celebrate if Ollie went. The only time I'm going to start feeling relaxed is when I can see the operations of the club running better. So case in point being, if this summer we deliver excellent transfers in good times for good prices, some could say there's a green shoot there that the club's operating in a different way. If we operate in a different way, and if we saw the standards rise, so if Ollie was told top four isn't enough, he'll be sacked, or you won't get a new deal. Hang on a minute. So we're setting higher standards for achievement. We're operating better in the transfer market. We've fixed the cultural elements of player power. And by the way, player power should never be a thing, because it's don't let the wolf in. Because at some point, you might let the wolf in now, to clear out some vermin that you don't want at the club or on your land. But then when there's no vermin left, they're going to turn on and eat you. So I wouldn't do that. KJ's coming up very, very soon. First, LFC Sonny is here to have his say. How you doing, buddy?
Good. I only woke up a while ago, but I'm here. I wanted to speak about the people who are upset about the Ollie contract. It's like, it's like building a house 3/4 of the way through and then saying, why don't we stop building it? Because I don't really like the look of that. All the people who want Ollie out, they think they're like prestige. Like, they only shop at Waitrose. You bring them in Lidl, they'll cry. For me, it's just unrealistic, because if you live in reality or you add context, when I've looked at Man United this season, I've gone, you're going to win that game. You're going to win that game. You're going to win that game. And then they've gone and won those games. For me, it's just because, if we're not winning that trophy, everything's bad. Everything's 0 out of 10. Like, you never look at context. Like, if someone told you when Jose came in that you'd be second place and you deserved second place, you'd say, you'd bite the hand off for that. You go, no, we wouldn't be that anyway. Ollie's came in. He's actually done a good job. He's not won a trophy yet. But why would you want him out for not winning a trophy? I don't understand it. Like I say, I think it's just, why do you think you're so prestige? Like, all these people who want Ollie out, like, no, I'm better than everyone else. Bring me in Lidl, I'll cry. I can only shop in Waitrose. We're so much better than everyone else. We can only do this whole thing where we don't add context. I don't understand it, man. Like I said, it's like building a house 3/4 of the way and then not finishing it because you don't like a little bit of it.
So what's the context?
The context is where he's brought you in the league and how much better he's made your team, where there was so much issues with the player and the manager before he came in.
I understand that. And so I'm someone who thinks Ollie's reached his ceiling. I'm not someone that doesn't deny where he took us over from. It's funny, he always gets compared to Jose's best seasons and not, where did Jose leave us? And I think that's always very, very key. So there are areas where I'll defend Ollie from the mob, because they're wrong. But I do think he's reached his limit. So the context for things to me right now is he's done a great job to get us here. I don't think he can make us that much better. I don't think he can get us over the line to win trophies. Now, in terms of this prestige thing, Man United are the wealthiest club in England. We have the biggest income in England. That being said, we should be at the top of the tree.
I'm not having that. No.
Why?
You can never be the best club always and ever. Like, you're never going to be the best person, the best team ever. Like, you need to live in reality for at least a few years. And that's what Man United are doing now.
But we've lived in reality for 8 years. But the reason we've fallen so far from grace has nothing to do with anything other than being a poorly run football club. Because FSG, when you started to improve, is when they learned from mistakes and they recruited better, they employed better, and they operated better. Manchester United shouldn't win the league every year, because Fergie didn't win the league every year. He was here for 25, 26 years and won 13 league titles. I'm not even demanding that level of success again, because Sir Alex Ferguson is the greatest club manager to ever grace the Premier League and maybe to ever grace the world. That's a debate, but it is what it is. So are we going to find that again? Maybe not. It's like expecting every generation to have a Muhammad Ali. They don't come along very often. But at the same time, with what we have as an income, the money we have, the resources we have, we should be competitive. We should be able to play good football. We should be buying the right caliber of player. And you always buy flops. Fergie bought flops, but the vast majority, the lion's share, should be good. This isn't about being entitled to winning trophies. It's about knowing that we can win them. And the problem with Man United is, have we got genuinely in your heart of heart, do you think we've got a chance of winning the Champions League or the Premier League next season?
No, but do you need to be with that team? No.
Yes. So the point is, after 8 years, going into 9 years post Fergie, we should have been able to have built a team by now where at the beginning of the season, it's United could win the league this year. That's at the very least.
But why is that Ollie's fault? Because I see all these Ollie outwards saying, oh, we need to get him out because he's not good enough. Where's the evidence that he's not good enough? He's made a few mistakes here, but by the way he's going year by year, it's only getting better. So next year, if the whole process goes to plan, you win a trophy.
So on that thing, again, this is where I agree with you. So Ollie outers that put it all on Ollie are idiotic in that statement, because it isn't all on Ollie, because we've been in this rut for 8 to 9 years. So it's part of a bigger process. However, my issue with Ollie is that he, in my opinion, he isn't good enough. I want the club to move on to somebody bigger and better, but that isn't the only thing. This is the problem with people. It's key stage 1. It's primary school SATs. It's bog standard level 1 football fan analysis. Get rid of one player, buy one player, get rid of this manager, bring in this, and we'll be fine. Not when you're Man United. We need to remove Ollie, bring in a better coach, but we need to recruit better. We need to make decisions that are based on football and not commerciality. We need to maintain the eradication of player power, i.e. cultural reboot. All these things need to exist for us to become successful. That's all it comes down to. And for me, one of the reasons I want Ollie out is I don't believe we've made all those changes behind the scene on a permanent basis. I think bringing in a better manager would expose those elements more, and maybe, just maybe, then as a fan base, we'll have this majority focus on how badly we run as a club, because Ollie, it's not his fault, but Ollie murkies the waters. As you say, people focus on, you're absolutely right, people focus on him like he's the reason that we are where we are. And he's part of this. He's part of the reason we lost against Villarreal, but he isn't part of the overall problems at the football club. So I totally.
What you're saying is only the thing. Then what you're saying is none of that is really Ollie's fault. So when you get rid of him and you bring in a new manager, you might get one trophy. Then the next year you're going to be wanting him out again. So what's the actual point? And it goes back to the point saying, say you're building a house, you're 3/4 of the way through. You don't like a little bit of it. You want to knock down the whole house. That's the exact same thing with Ollie when it's not really his fault. So I don't understand.
And you know what's interesting? Again, you're right on that point. If Man United sack Ollie, but the new manager smashes everything down and starts again from the beginning, I can't back it. There's nothing wrong in being three-quarters of the way through the house, but the builder keeps making mistakes, or he's not finished it on time, and you sack that building firm and you bring in a new firm to continue off the same architectural plans to finish building that house. That's how a proper club is run. So Juve, I don't know what Juve's plan is. I don't study it. But whatever Juve's plan is, Allegri's not coming in and going to rewrite the world. He might train the players slightly differently. Might add a few diet changes and whatnot. But the club's recruitment, the club's process, the club's ambitions are going to remain pretty much within a business plan or in a, I don't know what they call it in the industry because I'm not involved, but there'll be a plan of action to get to where they want to be. When Jurgen Klopp leaves in 1, 2, 3 years, FFG are not going to suddenly operate in a completely opposite way. They're going to maintain a level of continuity to get the club to the top. Man City have done it. Now, every time you bring in a great manager, you pick up and learn from them like a consultative basis to like make things better. But so you're right again. If we went from Ollie to a Conte, and Conte wanted 16, 17 new players over the next 2 or 3 years, if I had to find, I wouldn't want to see us do that, because we're starting again from scratch. We need to build upon whatever Ollie and the process now is. You bring in a manager that's going to take that to the next level in the same way for me that Jurgen Klopp did with Brendan Rodgers. There was a clear, I think it's easy to create Klopp football from a squad that was playing Brendan Rodgers' football.
But then isn't it unfair to not let Ollie finish that then? Because he's not really done yet, isn't it? Like, it comes back to the house being 3/4 the way built.
You didn't let Brendan Rodgers finish his project.
But he bottled a league title. Ollie didn't bottle a league title. Ollie's doing the most he possibly can. We should have won the league.
Your club looked at the fact that they felt that Brendan Rodgers at that time had got to be ceiling, that, you know, there'd been a bit of regression and they wanted to bring in a manager that could take their plan to the next level. That's the kind of ambition I want my football club to have. It isn't disrespect to Ollie, in my view, mate. But listen, great point being made as ever. Sonny, we'll speak to you again soon. Top man. Thank you. Great challenges there from Sonny. I want your views and opinions on that. I love the comment coming through in here. Let's do some more of these comments here. Then we're going to go to KJ, get KJ on the heavy say with us today. Stop comparing Klopp's first 3 seasons to Ollie. Klopp won the Champions League and Premier League in the next 2. There's no chance Ollie will, and Klopp has won 2 titles in a top league. Yeah, listen, the comparisons of the 2 managers' times, I don't do, and we never will do. KJ's here with us this morning. How you doing, buddy?
Can you hear my next door neighbor's dog?
Slightly, yeah.
Oh, okay. It literally, all he does is literally there's this one brick, there's one like rock that he just barks at all the time. Like legit, when I look over the fence, he just barking at the same. You like push it around and start barking at it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when you're trying to talk to an Ollie outer. Like it's kind of like that rock, like, that stone. You just can't. You just can't get through, and no matter what you do, they just won't listen. And that.
Yeah, I hear you. What's your thoughts on this deal?
It's a tough one. It's a frustrating one because I want Ollie for what he's doing behind the scenes. That is what I respect about what he's done at Man United. Behind the scenes, the way he's worked with the players, he's done it. He's done his best at doing that, and he's doing a good job in that. I believe. If this was another manager, I feel like Pogba would have left, or he would have down tools. Tony would have probably down tools at some point. Like I feel like he's done what he's good at very well. Yeah. On the other hand, though, he clearly isn't the manager to take us forward on the football pitch, and that's where it's concerning. In terms of, I'm not one of these people that says don't give him any new players. He needs to suffer. Like no. Like we need new players. We need Man United to be better anyway. So we should be buying players for the club and the club only. You know what I mean? If Ollie's there, if Ollie can manage them, that's a different conversation. But we still need to buy them. So yeah. I want us to get new players, but then it's just like, okay, can he actually get the best out of those new players? That's where there's a massive question mark. Can he take us over the line in any competition? We've just seen us lose in the Europa League, which in a final that the odds were really stacked for us, you know what I mean, with everything that's going on. So on the pitch, he is shown not to be the guy. So I feel like the only contract he should really be getting is to be moved into the backroom staff. Moved into the hierarchy. That's the only contract I believe he should be getting. For a manager, you either give him a 1-year extension and give him that next year to prove that, you can actually do this. We're going to give you these 4 rumored major signings, which I think is a load of nonsense anyway. I don't think that's ever going to happen because United are United. But he should be getting a chance to prove in his final year that, you can do this. And if not, you just let him go. If you want to secure the team, just give him an extra 1 year. 3 years to me is a bit weak for Man United. It's you've done nice things for us. You've got the bare minimum that we want from you. Yay! You know what I mean? Like here you go. It's just like no, as a club we should be better than this. But it all comes down to the ownership. It all comes down to their ambitions. It all comes down to what they feel is good and acceptable, and this is acceptable to them. They weren't at the final with Terry. Abramovich is going to be at the Champions League final. The Sheikh Mansour will probably be at the Champions League final. They weren't there.
And when you're billionaires, there's no excuses, bro. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, no excuse. You can't say, oh no, but my kid needs to get looked after, bro. You can buy nannies, fam. Oh, but the travel, fam, you've got private jets.
Yeah, exactly. Private jets, 5-star hotels. Like there is no excuse. But this is the point I'm making, brother. I'm not this is the thing. I'm not even defending Ollie because I don't want him to remain. I don't. However, I still want him. This is where people get confused. I think I don't want him to get a new deal, but I still want him to win next year. Like because I want Man United to win. So my focus isn't on him. It's the, you know, the point Itest made was right, that he just went on to talk about he wants it to be toxic, which is just, it blew my mind. But what he said about no one's after Ollie, it isn't like Barcelona want him and we've got to keep hold of him and maintain our asset. We could get to the end of next season and offer Ollie a new deal and he's going to say yes. He's not going to look to go anywhere else. No one else. Do you get where I'm coming from? There just isn't the necessity. Yeah, I mean, I think Neeks made the point back in March that you might get a lot of people question this and question that and question this and question that if he's coming to the end of his deal. But United can just play through that. Ollie can easily just, listen, we're renewing it at the end of the season. We're going to look and take stock at where we are. And we move from that point. And that's what we should be doing at this stage. I'm not overtly angry about him getting his final year based on Sonny's point around just give a manager the length of their contract and see if it works. I could almost stomach that. It's the new 3 years where if by the end of next season we get rid of him, we've got to pay like £20 million in compensation. It's just waste of money. Do you think that's 20 mil? Do you know, we talk about like the billions that have been taken out of the club. It could be an extra £20 million hemorrhaged by giving him this new deal that could be spent on getting Harry Kane, could be spent on landing Jack Grealish, could be spent on landing Rafael Varane or Jules. Do you get where I'm coming from? It just feels unnecessary to do.
Yeah.
You know, if we just won the Europa League and the FA Cup this year and we were purring as a team, I'd get it. We want to secure a manager that other clubs are now starting to look at and everything else. But it just feels premature.
Yeah, it does. And the whole argument of Ollie should walk thing is I have many reasons why I don't believe in that. One, I feel like as a man, it is his dream job. It is his goal, and he's got that. And I believe as a man, you shouldn't just give up if that is your dream. You know what I mean? Like I respect that as a person. Doesn't matter if I think you're good enough or not. That's his dream. Let him try at least to complete that. Two, him walking away, he doesn't really achieve anything. Him walking away and exposing the Glazers does what? There's no independent body that can come in and force them to sell because they're running the club like crap. If he comes out and one, he probably be part of his contract that you can't talk about your time at United for like 3 years or something. Anyway, so there'll be a NDA. But two, even if he could come out and say something, it doesn't change the fact that Glazers are owners, and they'll probably get another puppet. Actually, no, let me not say that because he's not a puppet. They'll get another manager who will just do the bare minimum for them, and they'll be happy. That is the issue with our ownership. And I'd rather Ollie try his best because he loves the club than a manager who's good enough, but because it's not going his way, just leaves. You know what I mean?
Like, yeah, I get that. I think it's interesting. A lot of people want Ollie to walk away, or even to my point, a top manager coming in and quitting and creating a big song and dance, and then the world sees what the Glazers are on about. It shouldn't take Ollie martyring himself, or a Conte or Zidane fallout for fans to go, I really should probably focus on the Glazers. The evidence is there. It's as clear as my receding hairline. It's just obvious. Do you know what I mean? They're where the energy should be. And every single one of these arguments, you start, Ollie's new deal. It's like, who's giving it to him? We're not actually going to land the players that we want. Well, why is that? Why didn't we get Sancho last year? There's no talk that Sancho didn't come last year because he didn't want to play for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We didn't come last year because we didn't sanction the money. We've now told an intermediary with Sancho that we are willing to pay the £80 million bid to get the deal done. There are mooted rumours across the industry that United might try to push the price down further now and chance their arm. That's the Glazers. That has nothing to do with the management. So I feel like that's the problem with all these debates and arguments. They always lead back to one thing, what the bigger problem is, but people want to ignore it. And people they're sitting in a burning house pretending it isn't happening.
And Ollie, I just think Itest say Ollie in is our Glazers in. No, anyone who focuses on Ollie, whether it be in or out, are Glazers in.
Yeah, or they're just not taking them out. Yeah. I think
as long as all your energy is going towards this whole Ollie debate, the whole I want him to stay because X, Y, Z. I want him to leave with that, and that's all you're talking about. Your Glazers in, because at the end of the day, they shouldn't be here.
Well, you know, and with some people, I don't even know if it's even Glazer in. I think it's people are in denial.
Mm.
It's the denial that we are a fallen club. It's the denial that we're no longer a great club footballing wise. Forget the money, forget the history, prestige, but that's always going to be there. The money pretty much will be as well. But we're not where we were. Why? Because we're not run well enough. But people, it's almost like people don't want to, and everyone does it. So it's not just Ollie inners and Ollie outers. It's the people that think if we get rid of Pogba and remove the virus, some people still believe he is, we improve. Some that think if we just kick Rashford out, we'll improve. Some think that if we had more of a Juan Mata-esque player than a Bruno player, we'd be better. Everything's singularities.
Yeah.
Get rid of McFred, we're back. I've heard these arguments for 8 years now, and nothing we've done works. Like one said, if we play McFred, we lose this final. Pogba was put in there. Yes, fucking lost the final still. Not that it's Pogba's fault, but it's just there's so many things wrong with this football club. It's unbelievable, and we always boil it down to one thing: manager, player, this or that. When it isn't, it's how we're run and we're operated as a football club. But what will happen when this new deal's announced? It'll be Ollie's name that's trending. It'll be Ollie that's abused. And I understand why people don't want him, but you're missing the point. You're missing out who has done this.
Yeah, Jerry, have you got time? Right, you got a little bit of time. Let's do this. Let's be honest. Let's honestly be honest. As a fan base, we are so stuck in the whole we used to be the best team in the world and best team in England that we are the. I don't say most of the fan base are deluding themselves. We are no longer this thing, and the quicker we accept it, do we want it? No, but what can we do about it? We can't do anything about the fact that our club is no longer the best in England. That is just how it goes in football. We need to, I feel that as a fan base, if we're not going to try and force the change that we want to happen, which is the Glazers going or change or making the Glazers change their ways by protesting and buying merchandise, because I've already seen people start foaming at the mouth of new kits and they want to buy it. Until we stop doing these things, as a fan base, we need to start supporting the club differently. We do, because we're not going to be getting the same glory that we've been so used to over the last 2 decades.
And I think you're right. When you strip back what the Pogba haters, the Rashford haters, the Ollie inners, the Ollie out, when you scrape back everything, they all want the same thing.
Yeah.
They're just going after a different point of singularity, a different area of singularity as being the main issue, when in fact it's a combination of everything. You know, it's players being here that are not good enough. It's overplaying for players and hemorrhaging money, and not balancing the squad. It's the lack of quality in manager. It's the change of direction in every single new manager. So we're starting again from scratch over and above. The running of the football club in terms of the standards that are set, what's deemed acceptable and what isn't. The players and the manager know that losing the final changed nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's things that look good, and I know Rashford does a lot of his charity work, you know, and things like this, but it's like there's timing of things. You know, it's really good to see what he did with Barack Obama, but there's this sort of part of me that's like, I understand why people are like, oh, great, look, I saw people yesterday, he doesn't even look disappointed he lost the final. And I'm like, it probably is.
That was probably recorded before the final.
Yeah, and maybe it was, but it's timing of these things. You've got Paul Pogba today that's put out like a Pepsi commercial on his socials.
Again, that is a scheduled post that was going to be put out.
Yeah, and I get all of this, but it's all these things being done to get, like, people then focus. One point is people then look at what Rashford's done and they look at this Pogba thing, and that becomes their focus and their point, where you just think, see, there's a lot of moving parts to these problems, and there's a lot of things that are really small issues that get blown up into being massive things, like Ollie not being good at press conferences. That isn't why we are where we are. You know, Rashford doing his charity work isn't the reason that we are where we are. Pogba doing Pepsi commercials isn't the reason we are where we are. It's because of the standards set by the football club, and until that standard is raised by the owners as to where winning the Premier League and winning the Champions League, say over a 2 to 3 year period, that's the irony is this. Fergie, once the Premier League begun, it took him time to build up to it. But he never finished outside the top 3. And I think he never went more than 3. Only once did he go more than 3 years. I think it was 04, 05, 06 without winning the league. Then he won 3 in the bounce. And by then he had a lot of credit in the bank.
Yeah.
But he was competitive nearly every single year that he played in. That's how Man United have got to get back to. That's got to be the standard. Otherwise, we move you on. However, what we can't keep doing is starting again from ripping up the foundations and starting again to rebuild from that point. We have to continue in a particular journey. So to your point earlier, that's why for me, my standards, that's where I want to be. But I understand it's going to take time to get there. However, you can deviate slightly by changing management or coaches or players while still on that journey. That's my issue with everybody's arguments, is everybody's so polarized. Everybody's so hell-bent on, as you say, Pogba, like maybe I phrased it wrong at the beginning when I said about Rashford, like the thing they're doing. It isn't a problem that they're doing this, but it's like this, no, the club needs to be professional, 100% focused on the team. Rashford was doing an interview with Barack Obama, therefore he's not. That's all just folly. That's nonsense, right? Like players can do 2 or 3 things at once, as well as still 100% focusing on their football in terms of the training and being focused on the game.
They are human. Right.
Exactly. They can. I think it's actually healthy to have interest outside of the game. I think it really is. But you get this kind of notion of sack the manager to start again. No, why would you want to start again? You get others that believe the other end of that spectrum, which is, well, no, we have to let Ollie see his plan through. It shouldn't be an Ollie plan. It should be a Man United plan.
Yeah.
And until we get on board with that, until we start doing that as a club, we're never really going to progress to wherever we want to get to. And we're not. And I think that for me is why this is so painful. Ollie getting a new deal is frustrating to me personally. But it isn't the end of the world where he gets one or he goes, because I don't believe we're one well enough to get back to where I want us to be anyway. So I feel like I'm stuck on a hamster wheel with Man United.
We are.
My frustration is do you get what I mean? That's my frustration. Yeah. It's the way the club is run, as opposed to all the little individual. Pogba doing a commercial, Rashford doing an interview. You know, the Solskjaer getting a new deal. All these things, I understand why they can look or be frustrating, but they're all side dishes to what the real problem of the club is.
Yeah, the thing we got a super chat here from Mario. He said Glazers got rid of Jose because the fans turn on him. Glazers will not get rid of Ollie as long as the fans are quiet. They love Ollie. Cheapskates. No, here's the thing. Again, we are mad and deluded to think that the Glazers care what we think. The only thing they care about is our money. They did not get rid of Jose because we weren't wanting him. They got rid of him because the likelihood of getting top 4 was going, because he'd fallen out with the squad and everything was toxic. Those are the 2 reasons why they got rid of him. If he was getting top 4 and we wanted him gone, they would have kept Jose. So we need to stop thinking just because we don't want a manager that they will listen to us. The only thing they're going to listen to is how we spend our money and not giving it to them. That's all it is.
Yeah,
that's all it is. And this is what I say.
If Ollie came 5th this year, bruv, he'd have been sacked.
He would have been sacked. He would have been sacked. He would have come if he had came 5th and won the Europa League. They potentially would have still got rid of him. Maybe not because of Champions League football.
Paul Scholes says, Terry, you're frustrating me. Why, Paul? What? I'd love to know genuinely, what have I said today that has frustrated you? I would love to know. Terry, this is what I mean. I want Ollie to get rid of Carrick and McKenna, freshen it up, get better coaches. I agree with that approach. And do you know what? It's not even, it is about agreeing with it. It's just try something different.
Yeah.
You know, if Ollie brings in 2 new coaches and it doesn't work, at least he's tried something. I mean, I just feel like we need to attempt something. I totally get that.
Like this whole thing has been very, as a football fan, been a very sobering thing in terms of, as Man United fans, we've lived in this world of where we should be X, Y, Z, and we still are a certain kind of team. And this whole process, going back from Jose till now, for me, it just shows us that this is what football is. It's a cycle. And when you run poorly, these things will happen, and you have to find a new way to support. Do you think Liverpool fans, during that 30-year drought, supported the club the same way, like they were still in the 80s, winning things? No, they didn't. They changed the way they supported because that they accept the reality that it was in.
Or change the expectation.
Change it. Well, change the expectation. Like, we talking about Ollie needs to change, the club needs to change. We need to change as a fan base. Like, we need to find a new way, because right now there's all this arguing over Ollie, arguing over Pogba, all this arguing, infighting, ain't helping. We're called Manchester United, but yet we are no such thing. We are nowhere near United. I just feel like a lot of things has to change, including us as a fan base, for us to move forward. Things are changed. Things have changed. Times have changed. So we need to go with it.
Dean here says, because you're flip-flopping again, Terry. Well, not really. I've said all season that I don't know if Ollie's good enough to win us a major title, to get us past those clutch moments. And my mind's pretty much made up on that. But what's remained exactly the same is what I've been saying on air for the past 3 to 4 years, that Pogba and Jose and Rashford and Ollie and Fellaini and Rooney and LVG and David Moyes and Darren Gibson, if he was still here at that point, I don't think he was, Tom Cleverley, Danny Welbeck, Javier Hernandez. I'm just trying to think of other players we despised. Angel Di Maria's, Falcao's, Bastian Schweinsteiger's, Memphis Depay's. These people have been problems, or they've failed, or not been good enough at times, or whatnot. But none of them are the reason that we are where we are solely. It's how we're operating as a football club. So I haven't flip-flopped about anything. My opinions about particular players and managers will change. Of course it will, because players get better or worse. Or I get things wrong because I'm a human being. But that's my one true constant. So if you see that as flip-flopping, fair enough. But there we go. By the way, I don't want Ollie to get a new deal. I don't think he's good enough. Him getting a new deal isn't that, because you won't give him a chance. At least give him next season. Last summer, he never got the players he wanted. He has no depth on his bench. He is still learning. Even Fergie, Zidane. I don't know what the last words are meant to say.
I think he just says,
I had time. I think that's what he's trying to say. Listen, if Ollie's given that, I'm not going to kick off and moan. I'm not going to not praise Ollie when things go right. You got to understand, it's I don't think by sacking Ollie we become overtly better anyway. So I'm not. It's not. I need you to understand where I'm coming from. I know it's nuanced, and I know it's not. If we bring in Poch, will the football be better? Yes. Do I think we'll win the Premier League? No. And that's where I want to be. Just playing prettier football isn't enough for me. So I hear what you're saying. If Ollie's given the players, let me just say this now. If Ollie's given the players, I beg, I hope, I'll pray that he wins every game, that he wins matches. And I pray that I'm proven wrong, that he's not good enough to get us there. Why? Because I want Man United to succeed. I don't want Ollie to fail. I don't want Pogba to fail, Rashford to fail. I want Carrick and McKenna to be the best 2 coaches in the world. I want our kit man to be the best. I want Man United to have the best grass, the best burgers at half time, the best programs, the best floodlights, the best sound system, the best stadium. I want everything about Man United to be seen as and to be the best. I never want it to fail. I'm just offering my opinion that I don't think he's good enough. I don't think the issuing of Ollie a new deal isn't even so much about Ollie not being good enough. It's the standards that it shows we've got as a club that are embarrassing, that not winning trophies and just making it into the top 4 is enough to get you a new deal. Now, if he gets a new deal but finishes second next year with more points but no trophies, and then they sack him, I'll retract what I've said. But I can only say what I see and what I've experienced under the Glazers. They only sack managers when they're out of the top 4, or it's written off as an example. You know, the other way around. Look at LVG. LVG won a trophy but finished outside the top 4 and got sacked. So we know that winning trophies are not the be-all and end-all for this club. It's top 4 finishing. That's my view. Now, if Ollie makes top 4 and wins the League Cup, but then got sacked because they want to go to the next level, that I'd be upset for Ollie. But as a club, I'd say, but they want to challenge for titles, and Ollie's not doing that. From a fan's point of view, that's a better attitude than giving someone a new deal for not achieving anything great. So for me, based on everything I know about the Glazers, that's why this deal for Ollie is frustrating. It isn't so much about Ollie and his press conferences and his style of football. For me, it's the underlying issue that we should be focusing on here.
Yeah, like, and I get, and I'm seeing certain comments like, so Aita said he's not going to change the way he is, but I'm feeling like, but you want others to change their view and how they see Man United and how they see Solskjaer. So I don't see how that's fair. And then you got Micah here said, Ollie is creating so much toxicity in the fan base. He needs to go because so many inners love Ollie more than they love the club. But that's not Ollie's fault. He's not doing that. Like, if you're saying Ollie just being here and he's creating this toxicity on purpose, he's the reason why it's good, that's not fair. Ollie being here, the toxicity is not his fault. It's how people perceive and want to do things. Because in the same breath, you could say Ollie's creating so much toxicity because the outers hate him more than they love the club. So either way, there's toxicity.
Yeah, and that's why I don't even want to get into those arguments. That's why I don't even want to get into those arguments, because at the end of the day, he's being kept here by the real problem. That our fans broke into the stadium and had the biggest game of the season called off for, the league game of the season called off for. We shouldn't lose sight of that. Does that mean I'm defending? But people look at that and go, but you're defending Ollie. I'm not defending Ollie. My view of him as a manager is one thing, but there's a bigger problem underneath him that should still be the focus, because if it's the big problem, I think it's like this. We've got a brain tumor. Getting rid of, I've got a bad headache because of it. Ollie's the headache. Taking paracetamol isn't going to fix the brain tumor. It might get rid of the headache. We need to fix the problem at the club. And I think that's all it comes down to. That's where my anger about this new deal comes from. I don't look at Ollie and think, you bad man for having a new deal. I look at my club, that badge, and think, we're stuck with mediocrity.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the focus needs to be. KJ, thank you very much for coming on, mate, and having your say. Really appreciate that, bro. Top man. Thank you very, very much. Remember, we're back at 5 o'clock today. Big build up to the Champions League final. Yeah, very big headache. It might be a very big headache, yes, but I hear you. But there's an underlying problem. Get it right. Twitter creates toxicity. I hear you on that one. There's no doubt about it. I'm not a fan of the Ollie inners or Ollie outers, to be fair, because I believe they just both miss the point on a very, very regular basis. Final caller. We're going to have Prime on with us now. What are you saying, Prime?
Hi, morning, or I guess afternoon, everyone. Ollie getting a new deal. It has signs of what they've done previously, so they're not fully going to back him in the window, and he'll probably get sacked in like December, which is, to be fair, after what he's done, is unfair to him. But if they'll probably try whoever who's available, so maybe it'll be Poch if he doesn't go to Spurs, or whoever else is out there, I don't know. But they'll just keep repeating the same cycle, and instead of the fans waking up to what's actually, or some of the fans waking up to what's actually going on, they'll just continue to have this trend of a new manager will come in, they'll go on a bit of a run, and they'll get gas from it. And then the reality of he's not good enough will start to appear, and they'll start scapegoating him or scapegoating certain players like Rashford or whatever. And it's just a continuous bad cycle.
I've got a comment here from Zaza that's basically said, Terry, you need to stop protecting Ollie. Have I protected Ollie on this call or show?
No, it's not. It's in fact, Ollie's or Terry and the rest of them, they've called for Ollie to go, and I get he's not for the end goal of winning the league. I get he's not good enough, but what he's doing right now in rebuilding Man United with the shackles of the board, I personally do think he's doing a good job. And I get it, he doesn't play the attractive football. So if you had Poch is the name. So if you had Poch, you would be playing better football. Would Poch be doing what Ollie's doing, though, in terms of getting you results? Or you guys are second in the league. Would you guys be second under Poch? I don't think so. You would make top 4, yes, but I think with Poch, you'd be sucked into a top 4 battle this season. Just based on the fact of...
Yeah. I hear you on that, Prime. And Zaza's back again. And I like Zaza, but he says, I hate these United fan bases. Why so hard? Keep your standards high. Stop protecting this Gollum guy. It's not about protecting, but you're missing the point. The standard is set. I actually want to scream, but I'm not going to be triggered. I'm angry that the standards are being kept low because we're giving a new deal to a manager that hasn't won anything and that I don't think is good enough to ever make us win something. but I'm angry at the people that are setting that standard, who are the Glazers that are giving him the new deal, as opposed to Ollie. I want Ollie gone, but shouting Ollie out is pointless. Focus on the people that are setting the standards low. If you sack Ollie, the standard still remains the same by the people that set it at this level. Whether it's Ollie or Conte or Poch or Zidane, the manager might want to do this, but the owners of the club are setting this standard. The standard is here. They're only going to spend and operate in a way to get to this level. And if a manager achieves that level, they're happy with him. If he wins some trophies and things above that, great. And maybe that happens with a better manager. But the standard of the club is top 4 qualification and you keep your job. That's what we've got to focus on. We need them to say, win major trophies, compete for major trophies on a regular basis. That should be the standard. Until that's the standard, I won't be happy. Forget the manager. Forget the players. Do you know why? Because in 10, 15 years' time, none of these players probably will be here. Maybe Greenwood. In 10, 15 years' time, there'll be a new flurry of managers that we're not even talking about right now who are going to be the biggest and the best. But if Man United standards haven't changed, we'll be in this situation. That's the problem. Stop living in the here and now and think big picture, Zaza. It's not about protecting Ollie. It isn't about protecting whoever the next manager is or defending the next manager. It's about protecting Manchester United Football Club, who are bigger and more important than anyone. That's the point here. And I don't understand what's so hard about getting that. Or maybe you're just trolling me. Maybe you're just trolling me. It's just madness, absolute madness to me. It really is. Listen, Prime, thanks for coming on, having your say, mate. Really appreciate it. Everybody that's tuned in today, a massive thank you to each and every single one of you that have tuned into the show. Make sure you're hitting that like button for us today. Give that a little hit right now. Share this on your social media streams. Make sure you turn on the bell notifications. We're back at 5 o'clock where we're going to be building up to the big Champions League game for you today. But until next time, take care of yourselves. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again.